Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to the channel. BABYMONSTER just beat aespa at an international awards show in front of 34 of the biggest names in music. And if that sentence made you do a double take, good, because it should. Before we get into what actually happened at TIMA 2026, hit that subscribe button because this story has layers, and by the end of it you're going to understand exactly why one trophy can outweigh 6. Let's set the scene. TIMA, the TMElive International Music Awards, just wrapped its second edition at Chiquita Stadium in Hong Kong, over 2 massive nights on August 22nd and 23rd. This isn't some small regional show tucked away in a corner of the industry. We're talking 34 Chinese and international acts sharing one stage across Chinese language, European, American, Japanese, Korean, and Thai music scenes. Now here's where it gets interesting. aespa walked away with 6 awards. 6. Let that sink in for a second because on paper, that's a landslide. They took Best Overseas Girl Group of the Year, Best Digital EP of the Year, and then swept the top 10 overseas hit songs category with all 4 of their solo tracks, Karina, Winter, Giselle, and Ningning each landing an individual spot on that list. That's not luck. That's a group where every single member has a solo track charting internationally at the same time, which is a level of individual firepower most groups can't even attempt, let alone pull off across the entire lineup. For separate solo eras, for separate fan bases converging, and all 4 landing on the same chart in the same year. That's the kind of consistency that takes years to build, not months, and it's exactly why aespa walked into the ceremony as one of the favorites before a single award was even announced. So, by the numbers, aespa dominated the night. If you were just scrolling through a headline counting trophies, you'd assume this was aespa's show from start to finish. But numbers don't always tell the whole story, and this is exactly the kind of moment where you have to stop and ask what these awards actually mean, not just how many of them got handed out. Because while aespa was collecting trophy after trophy, BABYMONSTER walked away with exactly 1 award. Just one. Global Icon Group. Stop scrolling for a second and think about what that category actually represents. This isn't most songs on a chart. This isn't Best Digital Release of the Year. Global Icon Group is a statement about identity, about a group's status on the world stage, not just their output over a 12-month period. It's the difference between being productive and being iconic. And out of 34 of the most prominent acts across Asia, Europe, and North America, acts spanning multiple languages, multiple industries, multiple fan bases, some of them with a decade or more head start, BABYMONSTER was the one chosen to represent that specific title. Let's talk about what makes that even more significant, because this wasn't a random win that came out of nowhere. BABYMONSTER has been building toward exactly this kind of global recognition all year long, and if you've been following the channel, you already know the receipts. Their CHLM World Tour has already taken them through Seoul's Jamsil Indoor Stadium, Kobe's Gyeollyeon Arena, and Fukuoka's Marine Mess, with dates continuing to stack up across Asia and Oceania. And that's before the tour even expands into North America, South America, and Europe through 2027. This is a group that just finished a 3-night residency in their home city, then flew across the region to sell out arenas in Japan, and kept the momentum going without a single dip. On top of that, they've been racking up subscriber milestones on YouTube, hitting 12 million faster than almost any other 5th-generation group in the industry. Luxury brands have been circling, some ambassador deals reportedly turned down entirely. Their I Like It and Moon music videos have been generating viral moments for months, the kind of clips that spread far outside the fandom bubble and into general pop culture conversation. TIMA didn't hand BABYMONSTER a global icon title in a vacuum. This was recognition of a trajectory that's been building steadily all year, finally getting stamped by an international body watching from the outside looking in, not from inside the fandom. And that's the real difference between the 2 wins here. aespa's 6 awards are a celebration of quantity and consistency, proof of a group firing on every cylinder, charting across every individual member simultaneously. That's genuinely impressive, and it deserves respect. Full stop. Nobody's taking that away from them. But BABYMONSTER's 1 award is a statement about scale, about being seen on a global stage alongside groups like Blackpink, who, by the way, also picked up Best Song of the Year for Jump that same night, putting two YG entertainment groups in the spotlight at the exact same ceremony. That's not a coincidence fans should ignore. YG had a strong night across the board, and BABYMONSTER's win was a central part of that story, arguably the headline of it. Now here's a detail that's been flying under the radar, and it's worth pausing on because it changes how you should read this entire result. TIMA's judging isn't just industry insiders sitting in a room somewhere deciding who wins what behind closed doors. It pulls from cross-platform data, fan participation, and international chart performance across multiple markets at once. Which means when BABYMONSTER was crowned global icon group out of a pool that included heavyweights like Stray Kids, Super Junior, TXT, and Re-Eyes, that wasn't a sympathy pick or a consolation prize handed out to round out the ceremony. That was the data and the fans globally, across multiple countries and platforms, pointing at one specific answer out of 34 options. So, who actually won the night? If you're going by sheer trophy count, it's aespa, no contest, and nobody's disputing that. But if you're asking which group walked away with the title that actually defines where they stand in the global conversation right now, in this exact moment, that answer looks a lot different. 6 wins is a big number, and it should be celebrated. But global icon isn't a number, it's a label, and unlike a chart position that resets every week, it's one that sticks.
Think about it this way.
A group can win Best Digital EP or land 4 songs on a chart in a single strong era, and that's a snapshot of one moment in time. A great one, but still just a moment. Global Icon Group is closer to a verdict, an outside body looking at everything a group has built over an entire year, from tours to milestones to brand power to cultural footprint, and saying this is the group defining what global means right now. That's not something that gets handed out casually to fill a category, and it's not something that gets undone by next year's chart cycle or a quiet comeback season. It's the kind of title that follows a group into every conversation about where they stand next to the biggest names in the industry. MONSTIEZ have been saying for months that this is BABYMONSTER's breakout year, and TIMA just handed them the receipts in front of the entire industry, live, on a stadium stage in Hong Kong. A stage shared with 34 of the biggest names in music, and out of all of them, BABYMONSTER walked away as the group defined as globally iconic. That's not a small thing to say about a group still this early in their career, standing next to acts who have been doing this for a decade. So, here's the real question. Does one meaningful trophy outweigh 6 good ones? Drop your take in the comments, because fans in the comments have already been going back and forth on this one, arguing both sides pretty passionately, and I genuinely want to know where you land. And if you want more of these head-to-head breakdowns as BABYMONSTER keeps climbing on the world stage, make sure you're subscribed, because based on everything we just covered, this is only the beginning of their story.
Ahyeon.